So our top story this morning at 6 o'clock, the FAA, they rolled back, they cut all of the flight restrictions, the flight reductions that were lingering since the government shutdown. So that happened at 6 o'clock this morning. Air travel should slowly get back to normal now that the FAA has rolled that back. So they were reducing flights at 40 major airports across the country. They were supposed to reduce that by 10%, and they were going to slowly work their way up to that. Lawmakers eventually came to a deal. They passed a continuing resolution in order to reopen the government, and so we only got to about the 6% instead of the 10%. But because of those flight reductions, it caused a lot of delays for people, a lot of cancellations, and I know a lot of people have questions about what this means ahead of the holiday season, because air travel it's going to take a little bit more time in order to get back to normal. So we brought in an expert to answer some of your questions, especially since the holidays are very, very close. So we're joined by Dr. Mahmood Khan from Virginia Tech. He is a hospitality and tourism expert. He is here to answer our questions about holiday travel, what we can expect with things getting back to normal. With everything going back to normal. So AAA did release a travel forecast talking about how 82 million Americans are expected to travel for Thanksgiving. While most will drive, millions more are expected to hop on a flight. So I guess my first question to you is, what is the state of air travel now that, they've lifted these restrictions at airports this morning? What is the outlook?
Thanks for having me. And I am happy to hear the news this morning that they are lifting the restriction, because it's coming at the most appropriate time when we are so close to the holiday season. As you mentioned, the traveler will be, millions of travelers will be going, most of them will be going by road, but still the airlines is one of the major transport system that many families use to connect themselves. So it is coming at the right time, but I hope it will give enough time for the airlines to catch up with the lag, mainly the workers who have been working behind the scenes, like the traffic controllers. That was one of the main thing that would have an impact on the flight shortages.
And so, because things are going to take a little bit longer to get back to normal, do you have any sort of estimate on how long you think, lingering delays and cancellations will last, especially because we're a week and a half out from Thanksgiving?
I think it will be just before Thanksgiving things will improve, but definitely before Christmas, because the arrangements that most people make for Christmas is at the Thanksgiving time. And so I think Thanksgiving, it is getting kind of very close. And with all the lifting of the traffic control, we'll have a lot of flight delays and as well as cancellations. It might have an impact on the air travels. But I would say it is better that the control has been lifted, but it is too soon, or it is too close to Thanksgiving. It may not have that much of an impact as coming back to normal.
So for anybody who is still on the fence, I know some people may have held off on buying plane tickets during the government shutdown if they were planning on traveling for Thanksgiving. What would be your advice to those people who held off? Would you recommend that they drive rather than fly? I know the roads can be very congested, especially if you're going somewhere several states away. So what is your advice for anybody who may have held off and is planning on flying for Thanksgiving?
Oh, My advice would be take shorter trips, close to home, yeah, drive if possible, use any other transportation methods. Airlines will be very difficult, and that would be mainly if they are planning on going far away from their location. So I would say shorter um, visits. Maybe it might be a very good time to have family group meetings as well as visiting families. That might compensate for some of the things that they might be missing by going far away from home.
Good to know. Thank you. Do you think prices? Do you have any insight on what prices are going to look like? Has the shutdown and the lingering cuts, has that impacted airline prices since all of this began?
I think the airline prices have gone up quite a bit, and I don't think they will come down during this period of time. And that should be one of the major consideration for those who would like to make the reservation in a hurry, that they should be willing to pay more because of the number of flights and that will be going and the compressed time that is available. So the best thing would be to find some alternative travel method, and I think driving would be one of those, depending on how congested the travel routes are going to be for car travel.
And I mentioned earlier the FAA was going to reduce flights at 40 US airports at a max of 10%. Because the shutdown ended early and lawmakers were able to reach a deal to reopen the government, it never hit that 10% max. It only got to around 6%. If this hit a 10% max, what do you think would have happened if it had hit the 10% max? Because we were already seeing so many cancellations and delays before we hit the max. I'm just curious to know if we hit that max and then we hadn't reached a deal as early as they did, what that would have looked like for travelers.
I think it will depend on the staffing triggers that have come down to a reasonable level. And I think the staffing will be enough to cope up with any kind of unnecessary delays and so on. But I think because of the short timing, there will be some delays and some kind of staffing concerns.
And you've touched on the staffing levels just a little bit so far. So it's air traffic controllers and I know TSA officers. Can you go into more in depth about what was going on there and why? I mean, it played a really big part in why the FAA reduced those flights. Are you able to give more insight onto more about why there was such a shortage?
Staffing controllers are federal employees and they have to work no matter what the situation is. And they were under a lot of stress as well as financial restrictions. And that was one of the limitations which I'm sure FAA must have considered in seeing that that relief is given. And it during this time when the shortages were being felt, there was a lot of other pending things that were an indirect effect of those. The training and hiring, modernization, then not using technology and so on. All of those were tied up with the staffing control that was done. So I think slowly it will recover, but I think it will take some time.
Thank you. So these delays and cancellations could linger a little longer, especially into Thanksgiving. And I had speculated on this before the shutdown deal was reached, and the FAA announced that they were going to be reducing flights. We were talking because this is now the longest shutdown in U.S. history, and we were just having conversations in our newsroom just about what it was going to be that brought lawmakers on both sides of the aisle together to reach a deal. Because for a long time, it looked like they were just at an impasse. Do you think that the flight reductions played a big part in lawmakers coming together to reach a deal? Because a lot of times with flights, and we saw it during the pandemic, you know, it was a major blow to airports when they weren't able to operate at full levels. Do you think that played any part in lawmakers coming together to finally reach a deal?
I think that might be the reason, mainly the staffing of those who are controllers. That is a very serious issue, which normally that is being considered because they were under a lot of stress. So I think that might be one of the reasons why they decided to have that, particularly the pressure of holiday season and the airlines having the difficulty of coping up with the holidays and so on. So I think there was two or three different factors must have played in their decision.
And so, as we're coming to the end of our time together on this interview, is there anything like maybe three things that anybody who is traveling, whether it's air travel, by car for the holidays, what are three things that people should know before they leave?
I would say the first thing would be pack a lot of patience because things will not be normal very quickly. So that is one thing that they should be sure to expect the unexpected. Secondly, they should not try to have that impact their enjoying the holidays. And so they should they should be able to quickly change the plans and go from one alternative to the other alternatives. And that is one. The third one would be to see if they can go by car or to the nearest distance that they can think of and try to find some locations or destinations which will make their holidays much more enjoyable.
All right, thank you. And before we say goodbye, I'm going to ask my co-host, Nye Campbell, if she has any questions for you, because I don't know if you're traveling for the holidays, Nye. I have family here in Virginia Beach, so I don't plan on getting on a plane anytime soon. Nye, do you have any questions for Dr. Khan?
I do not have any questions. This was very insightful, though, because I am traveling for Christmas.
Great. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Enjoy the holidays. I would very much. This is what I say because I'm in the travel industry. Mm-hmm. We would like to promote those, and these occasions are the ones which would like people to enjoy as much as possible.
Yes, especially those who also have to work the holidays, who are in air travel. Yes, so,
exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Khan. This was very insightful, and I hope you have a great holidays.
You too. Thanks so much. Both of you enjoy the holidays.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye. All right. So that was Dr. Mahmood Khan, a hospitality and tourism expert with Virginia Tech. He was touching on how long, we could see these lingering impacts on air travel now that the FAA has lifted the flight reductions. They did that at 6 o'clock this morning. So he was just touching on, how long we could see those impacts at airports, especially because AAA has said that 82 million Americans are supposed to be traveling for the holidays. So most of those people will drive, but again, even just the thought of traveling through an airport during the holidays is a lot to take in, especially right after the shutdown and the flight reductions and everything having to get back on track since then. So that was really insightful. He said that, just to paraphrase, he said that we'll probably still see some impacts through Thanksgiving. It should be okay by Christmas, but we'll just have to wait and see. So Nye, what do you have any plans for Thanksgiving?
No plans for Thanksgiving because I'm on call here. But
I'm working as well.
Oh, yeah, really? So we'll be here together.
Yeah.
Maybe we could cook some food for each other.
Yes. Okay.
And put a little meal together.
Yes.